Hi, Merry Christmas. Welcome back to Smoking Cheltenham. Yeah, so I ain't got my Santa hat on today, right? So I don't look very Christmassy, but Merry Christmas anyway. Um, all we're gonna have, all we're gonna do today, I'm just gonna have a spin through some of the Christmas racing. Have to bear with me. My notes are a bit of a mess. I've been sort of busy in a way since like the last few hours anyway. Um, I haven't actually got that much in the way of firm sort of bets yet, so I'll skip past plenty of races and just focus on the ones that I've kind of got bets on or I'm considering anyway at the minute. Um, but yeah, I don't like to put people away, and we are a few days out, and there's so much to go through, isn't there? I haven't scratched the surface with some of these handicaps yet, and to be honest, I probably have less bets than you might think at Christmas. To be honest, it's like Cheltenham. It's different. It's like when it's Cheltenham, it's like I work my family around the horses for Cheltenham week in March. Christmas, it's more like I work the horses around my family. So yeah, I enjoy the racing when I can catch it, and but I don't put the stud in that I would do for like a Cheltenham sort of thing. So I don't. I keep it fairly light, to be honest, at Christmas. So you know, but I'll tell you where I am with stuff anyway. And I've had some bets, and I'll have a few more. So kick off on the 26th, Boxing Day, Stephen's Day, whatever you like. Um, with Kempton, 123 mile grade one quarter star novice chase. Not had a bet in this yet, and I think I probably won't. If I do, it'll probably be Kitsbuell. Um, but I think it's always price dependent, isn't it? And to be honest, it's never a horse I've totally in love with. I remember before when he won his beginners, I was kind of saying I think he's like a grade two horse, like open. I don't think he'll be an open grade one horse, put it that way. But this is a grade one novice. That's a bit different, isn't it? He could take this out. He's a favourite, and particularly I did mention, didn't I? I thought Wendigo. I do like him, but I'm not sure he's a horse for Kempton. Got to say the ground looks like being pretty decent, doesn't it? Just maybe on the yielding side, a good light. And he's up to 3 mile, which is a positive for Wendigo. But I just wonder if maybe he'll get out of his rhythm a little bit around here. If they'll go a bit quick for him, um, if he can hang on in there, and he's close enough with you to jump, yeah, he'd be in business, wouldn't he? But just don't strike me as like a Kempton horse, particularly on decent ground. Salva, he won well last time, but don't know. Blue King Daru looks a bit overpriced in this. Actually got the better of Kitsbuell last season at Sandown. I thought Kitsbuell probably, up to 3 mile. I'm just not convinced with Kitsbuell, and I may well just skip it. I don't. I certainly won't. I'm not going to back him at less than twos anyway. Um, so I think I'm inclined to sort of skip past this race. But if I had to have a bet, it would be Kitsbuell. Um, the 155, then the 2 mile Christmas hurdle, grade one. Pardon me. I have had a little bet in this. I have. It's Sergino's here, isn't he? Love Sergino. I love Sergino. All over him last year for the Arkle. But he didn't get there, did he? from what we were told, he nearly died, and this is the first time we've seen him back. He's odds on for this. I think he's got the most natural ability of these, and I kind of expect him to win. I do, but my head's just saying I've got to have a little bit on Golden Ace at 4-1. You know, she's roundabout. You can get fours in plenty of places. Maybe a shade bigger on Betfair even, just a fraction. But I've just had a little bit on at fours, you know. She's got £4 to find on the numbers, you know. He's been entitled to be like £4 below his best here, wouldn't he, Sergino? And at 4-1, I'm inclined to think she's kind of got the one horse to beat. The Dino horse is in this. He's got like top handicap form, I thought he ran well behind Woodoo last time. Little off putting, he's had one run at Kempton and we were a bit disappointing. He's got plenty of like right-handed form, but he's one time he came to Kempton a bit underwhelming. There's a couple others in here as well, but I think Golden Ace has just got one horse to beat, and I'm inclined to think it's a coin toss and you're getting 4-1. So, you know, the head says that's a sound enough bet. So I've had a little bit on Golden Ace here, you know. Yeah, see if she can stay lucky, like, you know. Yeah, I've done that. I took on a few favourites and the good horses, I don't know. But it's just a sort of small value bet that I think 4-1 is fair enough. The highlight of Christmas, then, undoubtedly this year has got to be the King George, 233 mile Grade 1 King George. This is some race. I've not been so excited to see a King George since I think Thistlecrack won it as a novice. What a horse he were. He was some beast, weren't he, Thistlecrack? Loved him. This looks fantastic, it does, you know. It's sort of race you can have a little bet in it, and if you get beat you don't even mind, like, you know. You've got Gaelic Warrior in here. He's top of the ratings, 174. You know, Mercurial Talent is. I mean, the top three in here are proper horses. I mean, the top two particularly, really. You know, Gaelic Warrior won an Arkle, Fat to File won a Ryanair, and Jango Bay took out an Arkle. And Gaelic Warrior and Fat to File, they didn't just win Grade 1s at the Cheltenham Festival, they destroyed the opposition. These are like, those two are like Grade 1 star horses, like, you know. It's like when you were at school, ABC, they were like A star, weren't they? Yeah, I never got one either, but yeah, that, you know, these are proper horses, they are. My one, just a couple of things with Gaelic Warrior. He's a hard horse to trust, isn't he? He's awesome on his day, he is, I love him. But he's not the sort of horse you want to kind of have your life on any time at a short price, you know. Kind of struggles to string two big runs together, like, and it were a big run last time. I just wonder about the ground a bit with him, and he won on good at Sandown, and it was like pretty good. It really at Aintree last season. Sandown, he were grade 2. Aintree, I just felt he won the edge. Like, how can I put this? I think I don't think Patrick could have gone a stride quicker on him. Like, he was just on the edge of his comfort zone. When he's looked at his devastating best, it's been on softer, heavy, 3 mile good ground. He's done it at Punchestown. He did it at Aintree. So maybe I'm talking rubbish here. I don't know. It wouldn't be the first time. Just not sure. But I can see him winning this. Fact to file, his little question mark is the trip, isn't it? He won the Browns, but they kind of dawdled round a bit. It weren't really a true test of stamina. This is he didn't really seem to get home last year. You can only go on what you've seen, can't you? I mean, maybe he'll kind of settle better and stay better this year as he's matured. Maybe, but we haven't seen that yet. You're taking a leap of faith there for me. When we seen him last year in the Savills at 3 mile, he didn't get home from the back of the last for me. He just didn't. This is a half a furlong less, and it's not as stiff. That could be very important to him. It could be, and it surprised nobody. If this fella takes this out, his class. He is. I mean, what he did in the Ryanair. These are proper horses. They are. We're blessed at Christmas to have this. We are. He reminds me of like Allaho. I just think he's 2.5, and Allaho won a Punchestown Gold Cup towards the end of his career, didn't he? But I think he barely got it, and Allaho weren't like quick enough for 2, and he didn't stay strong enough really for 3. He was just a 2.5 horse and 2.5 miler, and I think this guy's kind of the same ilk, for me. But Kempton, there's only 8 declared here. They could go mad pace, but they may not as well. You never know. The slower they go, the better his chance, I'd say. The less of a test it is, the better his chance. And he's there with a good chance, he is. You know what's coming, don't you? I know you know what's coming. Got to go through this, John Durkin. Out of the pair, I think I'd just side with Gaelic Warrior, and a little bit of that's from what I said before the John Durkin. I think that they've trained Gaelic Warrior for this. I mean, you've seen what Willie does when he targets the race. He trained Illy Tay Tomps for that Tingle Creek, and he were bang on for that, and I think Gaelic's going to be bang on for this, and Gaelic Warrior bang on. I think it's his big target of the season, and I say the John Durkin, I thought because of that, because they'd specifically put a big red ring around this King George for Gaelic Warrior, I thought he may be a little bit more forward than Fact to File, and you possibly saw that, I think, after the last there. So I think he'll be in prime condition, Gaelic Warrior, and he's a deserving favourite, I'd say he is. Fact to File, beast horse, we love him, he's done us some good favours. Now, Jango Bay is the selection, and he's 6 turning 7. He's rated 165. He's got the best part of £10. He's actually got £9 to find on the numbers here. with Gaelic and 8 with factor files. So he's got near enough £10 here to find with these top 2. So he's got to improve, he has, and the key to that improvement for me is the step up in trip. This is the angle you're taking if you're going with Jango Bay, that he's going to come forward and improve for the extra trip for the 3 mile. And I think he will. I think he will. I think he's a 3 miler. Now, he took out the Arkle, albeit fortunately, Majborough threw it away and he was the benefactor, but he came home well that day, didn't he? He did. He went to the Grade 1 Manifesto. He were fast finishing 3rd behind the Green Willie horse. I said that my notes are a mess. I did this pretty quick. In Parapass, yeah. And I never thought, from the early stage that he was jumping and travelling like he can. I thought he was probably just feeling the effects of the Arkle. I think he did pick up an injury, didn't he? I think he had a small injury there. But he still stayed on all the way to the line. He was closing the front 2 down there. And he turned the form round in no uncertain terms with Gidley Park, who finished in front of him there on his reappearance at Ascot. I just thought it was so impressive from 2 out to the line. I'm looking at this fella like he's one of these Arkle horses that turn into a Gold Cup horse. Sizing John came second in an Arkle and took out a Gold Cup. Corto Star fell in an Arkle. He took out a couple of Gold Cups and plenty of these. Kicking King came second in an Arkle. He took out a King George and a Gold Cup. And Best Mate would have either won an Arkle or come second in an Arkle. He'd have gone close. But that was the year of the foot and mouth. Fucking terrible year. That were. But that were that year. He were favourite for the Arkle. So he'd have ran in an Arkle, and of course he won a King George, although the season after he came second in it and then went on to take out a Gold Cup. Particularly with the removal of the 2.5 mile novice at Cheltenham now, I think you'll see a bit more of this, a likely type. This year, for example, would be Romeo Coolio, who could follow the same sort of path, So he's got, they were classy horses, weren't they? He's got, big boots to fill, but I think he might well be that sort of horse. Ever since we saw him, we picked him up in that novice hurdle, didn't we, at Kempton that time? Pulled like a train the whole way round. Had no right to win that race, got headed and come back and won it. And when you see a horse do something like that they shouldn't be able to do, you have to take notice, and we did, We've kind of followed him away since, and until he tells us he's not good enough, I think we should keep following him. Okay. So you can get last of luck, you can get a bit of 4s for him. I'm on at 4s, I'm sort of nibbling away at 4s on Betfair at him, and I think Paddy Power and Betfair had 4s last time I looked, but I think he's a fair enough bet at that, to be honest. And we've got a point on him for the Gold Cup at 20s. At the time I said if you're feeling a bit brave, have a little bit more on, but it could be binned after this race, and it could be. But I had a little bit more on him. He's actually been clipped into 16s top price now, but we'll have another point on him at 16s. We haven't done much on the ante-post Cheltenham, have we, this year, so we'll make him a decent bet for the Gold Cup, so we've got 2 points on him now. It'll be a good win for us. I mean, from that point of view, he doesn't even have to win this. If he finishes like up the arse of Gaelic Warrior or Factor File, he can go on like as long as he's hitting the line well, and I think he will. I think he will. You know. So we'll see. I do get things wrong. Yeah. Of the others, Jukebox Man, yeah, he's got track form. Love the horse. He's a hard horse not to like. He jumps for fun. It took out the Quarter Star last year, didn't he, over the track? So that's a big tick in his box. The front three here have never ran at Kempton, so that's a little bit of a negative for him. As much as you'd think it'd suit them, sometimes it can be a law unto itself, Kempton, and some horses just don't take to it. So he's got that ticked off, Jukebox Man, and but he's rated 156. You know, he's got £20 to find. You know, he beat Highland. Highland's just a handicapper. There's nothing in the form book there really that would put him close, like anywhere close really to the top two, and even, you know, he's got it to find with Jango Bay. Jello's in here. You couldn't put a line through him. I think on a normal sort of King George, I'd be liking his chances. He's loves Huntington. That's about as close to Kempton as you'll get. Edwin Blur used to take out those Peterborough chasers, didn't he? And he took out a King George. Yeah, he's at 164. He's got pick to find as well. But, you know, I can see him running a big race here, Jello. And if you liked him, I won't put you off. At Banbridge, won it last year, Visored first time. Sean Bowen's up. You know, he won't fall over if he did this. And even a Le Francais, you know, I mean, say horses for courses and Kempton, you know, I think the track will suit Jello, Banbridge and Le Francais really well, like, you know, and it's just a great race, and it is. I'm rambling on a bit here. I meant to skip through all this pretty quickly, but it is the highlight, this. So yeah, you never quite know what Gaelic Warrior you're going to get, but we may see his sort of piece or resistance in this. Maybe we will, and you know, you wouldn't mind seeing it, would you? I wouldn't. But I'm with Jango Bay. I am. Fact File, fantastic horse. It's just a great race. I just think this Jango Bay could be something. You know, we could be looking at a Gold Cup winner here and a King George winner. Like it could be. Yeah. Okay. So Jango Bay is the bet there. Aintree. Yeah, the grade 2 form being Nicky dodged it, didn't he, with that good novice. It seems to have left it open for My Daddy Paddy. I expect he'll take out the grade 1 form, be the 2 mile novice there at 105. He's odds on, not for me, but you know, it'd be nice to see him out again. I don't know what price they'll cut him to if he waltzes in here, but no. Leopard's Down. Yeah, actually watering the chase track here, so it looks like being pretty decent ground. Henry, we still don't know about his form. You know, glancing through the handicaps in particular, he's got a stack of interesting horses, but I think you've just got to watch and wait with Henry. As a general rule, if there's a horse, this is kind of how I did things. I would suggest, you know, when you get a trainer out of form, if you get a horse and you really, really like this horse, but the trainer's out of form and you're like, you know, to me it comes down to price. I won't be taking like single figures, but if you really like one, but the trainer's out of form and it's 16-1, I'd have a bit on it. I would, because You know, if you miss a 5-2 winner, you know, big deal. If you miss a 16-1 winner, it hurts, doesn't it? So you know, yeah, you have to take note of trainer form. But if you do like something and the trainer's out of form and it's double figures, maybe just have a little on for your sanity. But I'll be kind of avoiding Henry's horses until he shows me otherwise. But he does have some interesting entries. He does. Right, Leopardstown. We open with a maiden hurdle. All eyes on Willie's here, aren't it? You know, what's he going to unleash in these? We saw Kopek in these last year, and Workhead take one of these out as well. The 12.05 2-mile maiden hurdle. Leader Dallier is his chosen one with Danny Mullins on it. I'll just be watching this race, I think. It'll be an interesting watch. 12.35, he unleashes Dr. Dominiel. Gordon saddles El Kairos. There's all interesting horses in the race, but I think these two will be at the front of the market. You know, Dr. Dominiel will be favourite and El Kairos will be second favourite. It's not just a high post, this Dr. Manil, because his form has substance to it. It does, you know. He slammed the devil, you know, he came out after and lost to a horse called Strong Link, getting a bit of weight, granted, but that horse is now rated 131. He came out this season, he beat Skylight Hustle, who's second favourite for Grade 1 this Christmas, and the Passing Wife was back in third, who ran a really nice race in the Grade 2 Royal Bond, you know. Then he went on to place in a Grade 2 Navan Novice Hurdle. So all the form strands look good behind him. You know, fair enough, Devil, you know, will be improving with his racing and whatever. But, you know, he really did slam him. He's exciting, he is. Supreme or Turners, though, you know, don't know. But if you want to have a little tickle on him for one of those two, I think he's about 8s for Turners and 14s for Supreme. I won't put you off. I've got a little bit on for Turners, and I'm tempted to have a little bit for Supreme, but I've not done out yet. You know, I mean, you're backing for 2, you're halving your price, aren't you? It's, you know, and there's plenty of other good racing this week as well. But I like him, you know, on just that one run we've seen of him, he could be something, he could. Alkairos should improve, you'd imagine, going to Gordon's. Jack will be on here. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting race. I suspect maybe not a betting race, you know. If I can't imagine you're going to get a price on Dr. Dominiel for this, unless, well, you'll get a price. It's like you won't get 2-1 though, I don't think, you know. 10-past-1 race is I think this is Grade 1 Juvenile. Yeah, am I right in shocking? Sorry, I just scribbled all this. Only one firm price is uphills, and their prices can be a bit sketchy, to be honest. But they put in Narcisco has as 6-4 favourite here, Barbizon 5-2. Now, Narcisco has ran behind Manch 2 last time, and, you know, he's got plenty of size and scope to him. I think he'll come on a ton for that. Can see why they made him favourite. Surprise no one should he win this. Gordon saddles Barbizon here, so he's got a fair line, you know, to this Narcisco has. You may remember me saying I were impressed with this Barbizon. Out of all the 3-year-olds we've seen so far this season, this were the one that I liked the best, you know, just watching them. Barbizon's a selection here, and I'll back him. I'll take 5-2. I won't want to take much shorter than that, but yeah, 5-2 or better. I'll be backing Barbizon. I think he's a selection for me here. I just liked how he did it last time. The horse he beat as well, Ben Hur, that came out and beat the horse that came third. Yeah, the second and third came out, and they come first and second, and they were well clear in the race. Ben Hur reopposes here. But yeah, he couldn't have really done it much better, Barbizon. I liked the way he did it, and yeah, I'll back my sort of eyes with that one. Taking that North Shore in this, first time up for Gavin. This could well be Gavin's best 3-year-old, running in this race, and Gavin's best 3-year-old were very well fancied, weren't they, for the Triumph last season. William will put this fellow in at 8s. I'd be surprised. I'd say 8s is probably fair, more than fair. Yeah, you'd have to respect that horse. We haven't seen him, so you're kind of guessing, but I'm guessing he's probably nice. But I'm with Barbizon here. I am. Yeah. So I wouldn't really want to take less than 5-2. I think he's tight enough at that, but I think that's also fair enough. The handicaps I started looking at this handicap because it was like the first one I really looked at. Went down a bit of a rabbit hole, and I didn't really get to look at many of the other handicaps. So, you need to spend a bit of time on handicaps. You can't just pluck about out nowhere. And well, sometimes you can if there's one you've been eyeing up, But 2 mile handicap hurdle, 145. I've scribbled down here. Danny could be in for a good day. Paul's at Kempton, isn't he? Danny's got some nice rides. He's down to ride this horse, He took out a handicap off 105 last time, up to 113 now, £8. That could be just decent form though. I say it because he beat a horse called Kentucky Beach, lost. Blanco came third, who's down from Maiden, I think, at Down Royal for Henry, short price. But he looks maybe one for handicaps later in the season. The horse that came fourth in that was a horse called Fierce Handy. Now, I happened to see this horse last time in a handicap. It was like JP emptied a briefcase out on him. He went off a silly price. He went off 11 to 10. Got absolutely mullered, and he just trotted up. He looked really impressive. This Fierce Andy. I watched him and I thought he's probably got another one of these in him. He went up 11. He's up to 120, and he's actually entered for the 2.5 mile novice handicap on Leopardstown on the 29th, which is often a really good race. Henry often has I think last couple of years he's had his Martin Pipe horse in that race. Got beat both times, but I think he comes second both times. Waterford Whispers and the horse we liked last year, Tap on the Go. Fierce Andy. I mean, it looks a good race. I've looked, but back to this race, yeah, that could be good form. It's interesting that Danny Mullins has been booked to ride this. It looks fiercely competitive, but and there's no prices, so I wouldn't be taking like 7-2 or something. But I'd be interested to see the prices. He's a tentative selection for that race. Well, I could well end up having a little bet on him. I guess the jockey booking might take a few points off the price. That's the only downside having Danny there. But yeah, we'll make him a selection, and he's possibly a bet for me. 2:20, 2 mile 1, grade 1 Racing Post Novice Chase. I don't know what I've done here. I don't. I'll share it with you. Maybe I've lost my mind a little in this. I don't know. I've taken on Romeo Coolio here, and he looks some horse, doesn't he? He does. He's odds on for this, you know. And you can see why. I mean, the way he's took to fences, he looks, like I say, he could be next year's Jango Bay, you know. You could see him staying on into second in an Arkle and stepping up to 3 Mile next year and becoming like a Gold Cup type, King George Gold Cup horse, that sort of thing. He's not a 2 miler though. That's the only thing, you know. He's odds on, and you know, if you remember what I was saying in the last video there, if you're taking odds on, if you're taking a short price, you want all your boxes ticked, don't you? This isn't his trip. Albeit he did take out 2 Mile Grade 1 last Christmas, didn't he? I don't think it was the best 2 Mile Grade 1, like the best renewal of that race, but he did take it out. He's a likely winner, he is, but this isn't his trip, and there's some... Salvatore Mundi's here. Now, he got beat at 1-7 last time. You'd imagine if Kopek hadn't picked up that little niggle. I was so excited to see Kopek, but apparently the race has just come in like, I think 10 days too, like a week to 10 days too soon for him. So he's okay, you know, touch wood. I was excited to see Kopek in this, you know, and maybe if Kopek was in this, Salvatore Mundi wouldn't be, but he did put away Romeo Coolio last year, and he can get 4-1 for him. It's just a bit of value, I think, you know. And I also had a little bit on Irish Panther at 10s. I know he shouldn't be up to this, you know. It's hard, this horse, because you see a horse for years and you think he is what he is. He was like 1-8 or something, but he's gone to the Hearties and he looks just a different horse, you know. I mean, he won a maiden by like 31 length, and then he went to beginners last time, and he was really impressive. I thought, you know, he really were, and that form's worked out nice, you know. Jacob's Ladder, you know, he hammered Jacob's Ladder, who's come out. Pure Steel came third, he's come out and won, so both those have come out and won, and yeah, he scooted away after the last. Really impressive. Double figures for him, 10-1. I just think he's worth a bit of change, because he does look a 2 miler, you know. Romeo's not. Romeo's like a proper Grade 1 horse, and this guy's probably not, but he is his trip. And the only thing with Romeo here is, because he stays 2.5, I think they're kind of going to have to ride him aggressively, and that might just sort of tee it up for Salvatore Mundi, you know. It could do. He could just set, you know, he'll come with one run on Salvatore Mundi, I'd imagine, sort of challenge at the last-ish. It might just pan out for him. And this Irish Panther at double figures, I don't know, we've had some shocks in this race over the years now. There's been plenty of odds on shots turned over, and maybe it'll happen again. He's a quality horse, Romeo, and yeah, you probably win. But I just thought, yeah, another odds on favourite, I just sort of had a little bet against, you know. Close out with 2 Mile Bumper, 3:30 race. This looks chock full of like interesting types. It does, that we know very little about. It'll be a good horse that wins this, and that good horse could be Helden. You might remember I mentioned this fella, that point-to-point list. If you've been watching me a while, you know, there were a couple on there I thought might seem likely types for the Cheltenham Bumper. One with Grangeclare Park, and the other with this Heldon. Yeah, he's 25s at Ladbrokes and Coles if you wanted to throw a bit of change on him for the bumper, but he may not even win this. It does look a good race, it does. If he does win this, it'll probably be single figures for the bumper though, so it's one of them. But if you like playing that game, yeah, the 25s at Ladbrokes and Coles is a bit of a standout. He's obviously he's shortening up elsewhere. He's familiar with odds checker, he's in plenty of blue. But it does look a hot race, it does. On to Saturday, Leopardstown. Yeah, this is where I will get sketchy now with the details. This has been mostly off my head. The 112 grade 1 chase. Yeah, we had those few ante-post bets, didn't we, for Christmas, and she's here only by night, so, she's here declared, so that's the first hurdle negotiated. Also, we played her each way at 10-1, suggested it can cut up to less than 8, and we did. We nicked it. we nicked one extra play, so we got 10's first 3. It's only first 2 now. I think she's top price 7s now. Yeah. So I'm happy with that. I don't mind that bet. First time cheap pieces. Not sure she needed that, but Gavin knows better than me, and they'll probably go some lick in this, so maybe that's why. I think Connections and Madgeborough are keen to get a lead for him, aren't they? Now, Solness is in here, so that may not be much of an issue, but just in case it is the rag anyway, it's JP's as well, Willie's. I think that'll probably try and go with Solness anyway. So they should go some pace here. I must admit, the closer we get in to the race, the more confident I'm getting about Marine Nationale. The grounds come right, connections sound bullish. He always does, doesn't he, Barry Connell? But he's often with good reason, to be fair. It is first time out, but he's got his ground. It sounds like he's sort of bouncing, they're saying all the right things. He's a 170s horse. I mean, our only by night she's 148. He's got a gear 7, but that still gives him 15 to play with on the numbers. So he could run like £10 below here and still get it done. He has actually shortened up though a bit now, and you're not getting 2s even for him now. He's the one to beat here, he is. Madgeborough could put it all together. He could be, you can see why they want a lead for him, because, like I said, after watching him last time, I'd have chucked a pair of blinkers or something on him. He weren't focused at all way. He was very starey, looking everywhere. Yeah, he could be much better wheel lead. It's just that jumping in. I'm just surprised no one should Madgeborough win this. He's got a huge engine, hasn't he? And he's, to be fair, he's not 6-4, is he? Because they've sort of come from Marine, so he's more like I think it's more 5-2. Yeah. Well, I don't mind a only by night bet there. I don't. I'll just stay there with that race, I think. But yeah, the only thing about Marine Nationale is I've never seen him come off the bridle and win. Like, you know what I mean? He either wins, or if he comes off the bridle, he gets beat, to me. But he may not have to come off the bridle here. But if he does, maybe he can do it, but I've never seen him do it. I've never seen him put his head down and fight and battle. But he's very good, and he doesn't have to a lot of the time, That'd just be my little thing. With it being his first run, if he does get tired comes off it like late on in the race, yeah, he could be beat. And Madgebury's got a mistake in him, hasn't he? So we're not out of this, we are only by night. I think she'll win a big race here. Solness first time up. Joseph is some trainer, isn't he? He is. Solness could run a big race here too from 2 at Leopardstown and put no one off that horse either. I think it would seem to me between those 4, like, you know. And yeah, I'm happy we only by night each way. And I wouldn't really put anyone off any of the others if you liked them, you know. The 147, 2 mile future champions, grade 1 novice. Yeah, we made this one. We had Skylight Hustle, ante-post 6-1. I think best price 4s now, so we're looking all right there too. It were like, I suspected the most likely and worst case scenario was that Paul would be on Le Divine on front and Love Me Tender would be here too. And unfortunately that is the case, but like I say, I think, you know, easy enough to get out of the 6s if you want, and I'm happy to just leave it, and you could well win this, like, you know. The horses we don't really know, you're guessing a little bit. Le Divine on front, you know, like I said, I think if there's a supreme winner in here, I think it's Le Divine on front. Could be Love Me Tender. Scarlet Hustle is most probably Gordon's supreme horse. It could be the one in the maiden that we already mentioned. El Kairos, yeah. It's probably either El Kairos or the Skylight Hustle is Gordon's supreme horse. Gordon's supreme horse, more often than not, is good enough to get placed in the supreme, you know. So if he's up to getting placed in the supreme, he could well be up to winning this. 6-1's fine enough price, like, you know. So he's like the selection and the bet there. The Paddy Power handicap chase. So I'm really running out of time. I just need a good hour at this. You know, I need to sit in a quiet dark room for an hour and have a good go through this, and then maybe have a cuppa and have another hour on it, and then I might be there. So I don't want to put you away here. If Back to Normal's down to run, Connor Stonewalsh is on it, I will have a little bit of change on him, but just a small bit of change, you know, and I'd be hoping to get maybe 20s or bigger on Betfair on the day, you know. I needed to have a better look at this. It's back at Leopardstown on decent ground. I think decent ground's important to him, but we just don't know if he's the same horse. We haven't seen enough, you know. He could pull up again here. Otherwise, he's got a £7 claimer on that. He'll go well. He's a good, honest horse. He'll win his race, and I won't put anyone off having a bit each way on him. I was just starting to think this summer, just though, maybe of Willie's. You know, he's had one run. JP's, Mark Walsh. You don't often go far wrong with a combination like that in this race. He ran well in the Kimure. He's a couple of pounds lower here. If Willie can just eke out a little bit more improvement in him, it looks like this is the plan to me. It could be Summer Jess, but I don't want to, you know, I don't want to say I'm backing this and then, you know, I might change my mind. Okay, but yeah, 3:30 we closed with a bumper again. Think about it, a couple of years ago, Willie took out three or four of these bumpers. He does well generally in the bumpers. Arcadian Emperor's here, another likely type, another one you could have a nibble on for the bumper if you like. I think he's around 20s as well. JP, Willie Mullins, 2.5 mile bumper. This is race factor file, Grannin, I'm pretty sure. I think maybe, I didn't check that, but I think he may have run factor file in this race as well. just quickly mention the other stuff. I don't want to take up too much of your time. It's busy, isn't it? Plenty to do. 28th Christmas hurdle. Yeah, the yellow clay, that's the last of our ante-post bets. We haven't got the final decks, but, he's still there. Top price at 8s at the minute. I think we'll put him up at 8s. Funny enough, I think the day after I put him up at 8s, Paddy's pushed him out to 10s. And Betfair Sportsbook, so I had a little bit more on him. I do that sort of thing. It's probably not advisable. They're coming back in now, though. In fact, I think they've gone 5s now on him, but you can get 8 somewhere anyway. I like yellow clay, I do. Ballyburn, we chatted plenty about this race last time, so I don't want to just kind of repeat myself there, but maybe if you didn't see that video. Ballyburn, yeah, be taking a short price about a horse that's got something to prove, and that's kind of why I've kind of gone against Sergino and Romeo Coolio. I'm sure plenty of people will be doubling them up and they may well be collecting, but for me, at them sort of prices, you need to have every box ticked. Sergino, we haven't seen him since he nearly died, and Romeo Coolio is certainly better over 2.5. But class counts, doesn't it? And he's got plenty of that, both of them. And here, Ballyburn, yeah, very classy horse. He is, but he's got a question mark with a 3 mile with the keenness that he has, and that's enough for me to want to sort of have a little play against him. Teapot looks like being here. 28th. There's not much rain forecast. It could be getting. The hurdles track is softer than the chase track. I think it's soft at the minute. It'll probably dry out though by the 28th. It may be sort of a mix of good and yielding. He'll go on it. He does. He went on it and he won at Punchestown last year. He's better on softer ground, but he could still take this out. The price has closed in now is more realistic price. He did look a bit big at the 7-2. He's stable number 1 here. But the yellow clay, I just think the ground's going to be right for him. I think he's bred out. Is it Yates? His sire, the same sire as Gavin's horse that took out a couple of stays. He's a good influence for stamina. He's always looked to me like he'd improve for 3 mile. This is his first crack at it. It comes at a course that he took out his bumper and he ran in a grade 2 bumper, ran a great race there. He likes the track. I think he'll improve for the step up in trip and the better ground. It's just that he had a tough race last time. Has that left a mark or not? I hope it hadn't, because I think this horse could be something at 3 mile on decent ground. I do. Quality form last year at Cheltenham, big run it were. Right, I haven't really got much else. Savills, not much else. What a race that is. It's not a race I look right into. And this is how ridiculous it. This is probably the worst Christmas preview. You don't want to be following me, and I don't think, with some of these bets. Because I had the smallest amount of change, literally. Well, I actually had a 5 each way on Stella Story at 100-1 for this. And I cannot make a coherent argument for the horse. It was just the price. I was just like, got a bit of soft spot for him, and he's 100-1 with 365. I was in an iron at the 66s. I thought, don't, Steve, don't. I kept looking at the form and I thought, no, I can't make an argument out. And he pushed him to hundreds, and I'm like, 100? Okay, I had 5 each way on him, I did. So that's maybe the maddest bet you'll hear from me, but it's the truth. Yeah, I had 5 each way on Stella Story at 100-1 for this. I'm not saying you should do the same, okay? But the best argument I can make, he's not run well at Leopardstown on his 2 tries so far. The best case I can make for him, right, is that he won a Grade 1 at Cheltenham. He did. And the horse he beat is about 6-1 for a King George. And this fella's 100-1 for the Savills. Also, he finished 4 lengths behind Lecky Watson, who's also possible squeak if something mad happens in this. He finished 4 lengths behind him. I think he's generally sort of 16s, 14s, although there is a bit of 25s at 365 for him as well. They shouldn't be in the same class as some of these at the top. They shouldn't. But he finished 4 lengths behind him, and Lecky Watson really got the run of the race that day. And he's 100-1. But, right, Galloping is 11-4 here. I haven't backed him because I had half an idea he may go to the Tremor race. But I think he's running here. And maybe once he's declared, I'd be surprised if he's like 11-4. It's Christmas, it's Galloping. If he's anything like 11-4, we'll just back him. We'll have Galloping. So Galloping's the selection here. He loves Leopardstown. He's a legend of a horse. It's first time up, I know. And I do like I know the way you're thinking. I'm kind of hoping he runs a nice race and gets beat 10 lengths into third or something here. But I can see him taking this out. I could. I think last year they were kind of started off going for the national, and he weren't in any way off for this. He should run a lot better, and he may well take this out. But Galloping, these horses sometimes just find a way, don't they? And I hope Galloping just finds a way. And the roof will come off the stands, won't it? And that'd be great. What a Christmas present that'd be. So Galloping's a selection in that race. If you're a little bit insane, it'll be a change each way and still a story at 100-1. I've lost the plot, I have. Right, 29th, I'll be hoping Losimouth wins that December hurdle. Yeah, Bright Days Head will be here. To be honest, I couldn't touch that horse though, Bright Days Head. I know she won this by about 157 lengths last year, didn't she? She did. But she maybe paid the price for that. We haven't seen her run a race since then, and until she does, you'd have to be against her. She may well bounce back and take this out, I don't know. But, Loz is my girl, and I'll be cheering her on. I doubt I'll have anything on her though, because she's odds on. And, inside track, Leopardstown, decent ground. Is all wrong for her. It is, I think she can do it in the champion hurdle at Cheltenham, but I think the track is key. She just loves Cheltenham. Yeah, so I'll be cheering Lozzie on, but the track and the trip is not ideal, and the ground either, probably. But what a beautiful horse she is. Very quick mention. Oh yeah, the 12:47 is that novice handicap hurdle. JP wins this, I think. He's got some, which one I'm not quite sure, but that Fierce Andy's entered here. Son of Anarchy, if you remember him, he was off that point-to-point list. I think I suggested, I thought he were a nice horse once and he were disappointing, but he came to form last time in handicap and he took it out and he could have some mileage in his mark. JP's got 3 or 4 very interesting looking types in this, and I think he'll be taking it out. And that's that. Okay, so just coming up to an hour. Rambled on long enough, not giving you probably all that much, I don't know. Hopefully there's some winners in there. Nap of Christmas. I ain't got one really right now that I'd say, look, this just fucking wins, like, you know. I ain't got one of them, you know. Like I say, I keep it pretty light generally at Christmas, you know, unless I do find one, and I hadn't really found one. Okay, I'll be honest. I've had a few bets and I've told you what they are, and I'll have some more, but I don't know what they are yet. And I may get really sweet on something closer to the time. A couple of years ago, I knocked Jango Bay for us, didn't I? And he got us. He landed the nap, and he were lucky, to be fair, but he did get it. We'll go with Jango Bay. Like I say, and I like the yellow clay, I do. Jango Bay is just the quality. He's up against two proper horses there, isn't he? You know, and he could run an absolute blinder at the race of his life and get beaten to third. Like, you know, he could finish, get beat 5 lengths and staying on at the line. He's run his best race ever. But I do like Jango Bay. I do. I think I can see it happening. I could. And the yellow clay, if that race hasn't left a mark on him, I think he's got a cracking chance. And at 8-1, I think he's a bet all day, every day at 8-1. I know he's the second string, yeah, but I think he's a good bet at 8-1, I would say. Okay, so I like those two, Jango Bay and the yellow clay. Okay. Right. Have a brilliant Christmas. You know, thank you to all my ramblers out there. Have a brilliant Christmas, and I hope you're back. Plenty of winners, and have a great week. Okay, I'll see you again next week. All the best, and thanks for your time. Bye.